Hey, true believers. Chris Met coming at you with the Joker, Year of the Villain, #1. And I'm glad that I finally sat down and reread this book. Because I remember when I first read it, I was not real impressed with it. But I think it kind of falls into, how sometimes you're not in the right mindset or mood to read something. I think that's kind of how I was when I first read this. But now that I've had time to sit down, let this book age a little bit, this is one intense comic book. And what I really enjoy about it, too, is it says, a frightful tale brought to you by the legendary John Carpenter. And a lot of his tropes are in here, but it just really adds to it. So the print date on this was December 2019, but I can't remember when it first came out. I think it was around Halloween last year, but print date nonetheless says December 2019. Now, we open up on a prison break here in Gotham, so you're just kind of thinking, oh, joy, another prison break. So before we get into this, let's kind of talk about the rundown of who worked on this book, which is a lot. It's written by John Carpenter and Anthony Burke, pencils by Philip Tan, inks by Mark Deering, Danny Meeke, Jonathan Glapian, and Tan. Colors by J. David Ramos, and then main cover, letters by Gabrielle Downey, and then here's everyone else associated with the book, and of course Batman. And I believe the Joker as well were created by Bill Finger with Bob Kane. So, destruction, doom, and then there's a voiceover from this character called Six. And he goes, when I was a kid, I had a family. When I got to Arkham, I had nobody. But now I got all I need. Now I got him. So you kind of see this sort of Stockholm syndrome thing going on. Say that 3 times fast. And so they break out together, and you can just tell how much Joker just does not care about the people he's around. He's like, which one are you again? 6 of Hearts. I'll call you Of for short. Now let's see what the other 52 have to say. Is that 52? 51. But yeah, not enough coffee, folks. So the Joker goes to his old hideout, and they're like, oh, boss, we were just getting ready to set you free. Oh, of course you were. You weren't going to let me sit there and try to escape on my own, while y'all sit on your thumbs. So, of course, retribution happens. But check this out. This character, Of, says, sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes the world is wrong. And there was no way to tell which until I met him. So look at the juxtapositions here of the actual destruction. He goes, is this real? Or in my head? So see how we get the laughing bubbles here, and then this just looks like happy fireworks. And then we see the Joker saying, oh, I know this one. All of the above. And this reminds me of going back to the Killing Joke where he says, if I have to have a past, why not make it multiple choice? So like that little inference there. And Of saying he made things simple. So you see all this death and destruction going on. And he's talking about how he saw a therapist once, and they were talking about how mental illness is invisible. And he's like, good. I thought it makes it easier to hide. But then he says, but he never needed to. Joker made the invisible visible. He grabbed the world by the throat and said, here I am. And the world had no choice but to pay attention. So, his cops are terrified of him. See him roll up the window, drive off. See him kicking the scarecrow toxin into the water supply. And you just kind of see Six kind of going along with it, or Of, as you want to call him. So anyway, the Joker's like, what's wrong with this city? A guy can't even spill fear toxin in the water supply without being ignored. And this, I guess, is along when the city of Bane was happening, because he says with Bane in charge. And so he's like, whoa, how long have you been there? Which shows how much the Joker just does not care about the people around him. Like, he couldn't remember his name, and then he's like, how long have you been there? And he's like, the whole time, I think. Neat. Drive me somewhere. So they're driving. And he's trying to tell Six a joke, but because Six just sort of there, doesn't say anything. And so the Joker pulls a gun on him and he says, say something fun. And so he goes, I tell him everything. I told him about Dad, about Mom. So you see how his father used to beat him, how his mother just says, you can't behave like that and expect your father to. You see him get hit again and again. And then you see, Dad getting smacked, Mom looking at him in fear going, you're insane. So this is a really hard panel. I mean, in terms of art, great work. Very visual, very horrific, which again, the art should drive the narrative. And in this sense, all the laughing, compared to just the gruesome subject matter that we're looking at, that's a great way to set up a panel and to make you feel uncomfortable. And the Joker, just kind of unfazed, just looks at him and goes, fun! Ugh. So he's like, we got to break this city like you broke your old pop skull, Sixy. So the Condiment King, they're at this grocery store. The Condiment King breaks in, tries to do a holdup. Condiment King realizes who's at the convenience store. And I love this look of the Joker. He's like, you were about to hold up my, my henchman now, were you, Condiment? That would be a very bad taste. And then you just see this super serious face here, and he goes, you're a scourge on the city, Condiment King, a villain. And you know what villains deserve? And he's just looking at him in absolute terror. I don't want to give away the punchline here. I want you guys to read this book. But when everything's said and done, the Joker all of a sudden just kind of gets on this Batman kick. So now we are with Batman and Robin? Okay. So, and then here it's very much the campy Adam West dialogue, which really works because the Joker, a lot of the jokes usually are not funny anyway. And he's like, hark, a miscreant. That's a crooked criminal if I've ever seen one. You there, stay put for your straightening. And so, of course, we get the mandatory Adam West rope climbing. And then Six is just like, it's chaos out here. But he walks his dog? No, it's a trick, a trap. Joker can smell it. So can I. And so he starts to act serious. He's like, what are you hiding? He's like, easy as my marvelous manservant. You mustn't kill him. I wasn't going to. Good, because that's a line we never cross. And so you kind of see this look of confusion, like, what are we doing? So you see here, he's just like, don't let me see you out here again. But then he's got a gun. Bam! Arf, arf. The dog also has a gun. Bang! And he's like, where's the, and he's like, trying to say, where's the gun? But there's just too much cacophony going on for Six here to catch on. And so the Joker, as he said, he says, I have the Joker. And he says, I have a hard time telling fiction from reality. And so check out the paneling here. Well, first he says, when you have a mental illness, you surround yourself with people who love you. People who help you see the truth. People who are patient when you can't see it. But they all leave you in the end. So you go from the harsh reality to the laughing and the joking. And he goes, everyone except him. And he says, thank you for saving me. So we see what's the reality and then what his mind sees. Dogs carrying guns. This town's lost its mind. So you're just kind of like, wow, how the Joker is just manipulating people. And he just does it willy-nilly with no care whatsoever, which makes the Joker himself terrified, is his lack of any type of empathy or compassion or mercy. And then there's a moment where the Suicide Squad is sent in to Gotham during this City of Bane, which don't worry about reading Tom King. You'll be okay. But Six is thinking that the Enchantress is making fun of him because in his mind he's like, maybe we could work with the Suicide Squad, do some good, be friends, maybe more than friends. Now, in actuality, the Enchantress is just looking at Six with contempt, like, get out of my way. And he thinks that she's laughing and calling him names and saying he's lesser of a man. So he goes off the hinge because he has a hard time, again, distinguishing reality and fiction. And so the Joker says, we found our first true arch nemesis. So he rallies this campaign for all these people to join him to take her down. But the Enchantress, she's a character you do not mess with. And so the Enchantress is saying, leave the clown's company and you'll live to see another day. But the Joker does something with these flowers, these Unity flowers. And Six is like, the Unity flowers are supposed to be to show, to unify us. He's like, I never thought to ask why I never got one. But with all that said, they're at this restaurant. And Six kind of starts to put things together that the Joker is not right. So something happens that makes him question his loyalty to the Joker. And even the Joker here says, your mom sounds like she sucks. Yeah, she sucks. And so he tries to run away from the Joker. And I don't want to give away too much more, but there is a scene where he does try to see his mom. And he's like, the lock's broken. And just look at the terror on his face when he realizes who's there. And I like how every time the Joker is about to do something horrid, there's this edge of laughing on the page. And so here we see the Joker with Six's mom. And he's like, hello, son. Didn't hear you come in. And Six starts thinking to himself, he's like, he's not like me. He knows exactly what he's doing. Listen to every word I said about her. Remembered it all so he could do this. The realization on the face, he's sane. The Joker's sane. My brain doesn't work right. It can be hard to tell it's real. But not now. And so you see Six choking the Joker. He goes, he's evil. Not crazy. I'm crazy. Not evil. And so the Joker here, while he's being choked, does something. And I don't want to give that away because it's kind of creepy. But we get to a panel here where the Joker says, you get to fulfill the ultimate superhero sidekick. And so we get a really just intense homage to A Death in the Family when the Joker beats Jason Todd. And it's almost panel for panel, but it's just a lot more gruesome. He goes, oh, now that's more like it. And just, whoa. So he's going to town on Six. I don't want to give any more of this away because it ends very bloody, very brutal, but there's a bit of like a bittersweetness to it. But yeah, now that I've just got to reread this book and the way that the intensity of Joker's insanity and what he does to people, how it just progresses through the book, you're just like, my goodness. And how he just does it with no care, like with those Unity flowers and the dog and the man. Now, I'm not trying to laugh because it's funny. It's just when he's like, he's got a gun. That reminds me of that episode of South Park when Jimbo and Ned take the kids camping. And he's like, whenever you want to shoot something, just say it's coming right at us. And he goes, it's coming right at us. And they're shooting birds and squirrels and rabbits. And so when he says, the dog's got a gun, yeah, you get the point. But anyway, a good book. A lot of serious subject matter to be touched on in terms of mental illness and how it shows that the Joker's not actually crazy. I like how, again, 6 says, he's evil, not crazy. I'm crazy, not evil, to show that there's actually a distinction between the two, as where the Joker just he can be methodical and remembers what people tell him. So yeah, I highly recommend this book, guys, and to read it in its entirety so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Speaking of, if you have enjoyed this comic book, please support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like and and share the video. It helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys can come to the channel. And we'd love to hear your feedback and have a dialogue with y'all down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.